first album is just a jewel. Like, that is such good songwriting. She was a genius. I remember that first album was just beautiful. So I definitely would say she influenced me.
To the Need to Know Music Show here on Switchbox TV with me, Ronan MacManus, and today I'm joined by a Latin pop star. So she's waving at me now. So yes, Anna Chase is joining me right now. She's just released her latest single, Color. I'd say it like that because it's in the Spanish language. So I'm going to say that. And yeah, so please welcome Anna Chase. How you doing?
Hey, Ronan, how are you? I'm great. Thank you for the introduction.
Very good. Yeah, no, I was just reading about you being born in the US, but then you moved to Paraguay, and now you've been doing some things in LA as well. So do you live sort of between the two places, Paraguay and America?
I was born in Denver, and then I moved to Paraguay when I was a baby. So I didn't grow up. I don't even know how Denver looks like at all. I was born there, and then my parents, they are Paraguayan, so they came straight to Paraguay when they had me. And then when I was done with high school, I moved back to the States, but this time to California, to LA, to pursue music.
Excellent. I've noticed all of your songs are Spanish language songs. Do you have plans for English language songs too, but being sort of more of the LA, or is it the Latin market that you
I would love to, actually. I think it'd be great. I remember when I was in college, all my EPs and my first material were all in English because I grew up listening to Christina Aguilera. I was a big fan of, all the big 90s pop divas. And so I really had that in my brain. I really wanted to try and sing in English. But then all of a sudden I started writing in Spanish a lot. And, I wanted to do that as a songwriter, but not to perform my own songs. But then people were starting to be like, hey, you should do this, you should sing your own songs. And that's how I started in Spanish.
Because I mean, I noticed, listen to the songs, it's the pop songs. It's not necessarily all sort of musically Latin songs. It sounds
exactly.
Straightforward pop songs just in the Spanish language. I thought they would work to translate.
Yeah, definitely.
Sort of
and that's something that we've worked with. I mean, the tracks are all Jackie Erickson. T.I. Jack, he's the one behind all the tracks. And he has a very strong and very evident, English pop vibe, like a very top 40 English pop, like American pop, sorry. So I love that about him, So we were like, hey, let's see what happens if we make this in Spanish.
Yeah, it really works well. I have to say, it really works well. I mean, my dad spoke Spanish. We're not Spanish at all. We are Irish, but my dad was obsessed with the Spanish language, and we all got a Spanish middle name. I got Rafael as one of my middle names.
Oh, nice!
And I did quite well at learning Spanish at school. So I love Spanish culture, Latin culture. I love all that stuff. So. For me,
have you ever been to South America?
I've been to Brazil, but obviously don't speak Spanish there. But
nice. Yeah, but it's still beautiful.
It is beautiful, and but I've never been to anywhere else. I certainly haven't been to Paraguay. It's not somewhere that I know a lot about, to be honest.
No, it's a smaller country for sure.
What's the music scene like in Paraguay when you were growing up? What was that like?
Well, there's a lot of we take in a lot of Argentinian music because we get a lot of influence from Argentina, and nationally we have a tendency for folkloric music, also rock in Spanish. We have a lot of cumbia, which is more like danceable Latin music, more regional style. Okay. Then we have reggaeton, of course, and around there.
Excellent. So what was last year like with the pandemic, kind of the coronavirus thing? How did that? Because I saw that looking at your singles that you released something late 2019, in I think it was November 2019. Then you released something in February this time last year. then obviously the coronavirus kind of hit. You must have had some plans. It felt like you were building up to a 2020 that was going to be quite exciting. What sort of plans did you have? What plans were ruined, and what did you do instead, or how did you change to deal with
mainly traveling. Those were completely postponed. Also, I still released music during pandemic, which I'm very grateful for, but no performances whatsoever. We had a very strict quarantine. We had a police enforced quarantine, so we could really not move out of our houses. And yeah, I mean, it hit me just the way that probably every other artist in the world, no performances. It's tough when you love doing that, and it's an income as well. So it was tough, but I'm very thankful that I managed to do some live performances through technology, and also to still be able to release music.
That was what I was going to ask you about. Did you do any live stream things? How did you do them? Did you do the Zoom gig thing, or was it more kind of a stream? Because the difference of obviously being when you're just streaming to like Facebook or something, and you're just sort of singing into a camera. But if you've got Zoom, it's like you can see people, you can react to them. Have you done any of the Zoom ones?
No, I have not done the Zoom ones. I did IG lives a lot.
Yeah. Okay.
That was basically it, but I did not do the Zoom lives.
How did you find that?
Which makes a lot of sense, because you are sharing with your audience, and it was actually terrifying for me to do the IG lives performing just live and having people just watch me and not being able to like watch the action. So that was kind of nerve-wracking at the beginning.
Yeah, it's really strange that. So how did you find it? How did you find the IG live? Because you can see the chats, and can you see people chatting and that kind of thing, but you can't obviously. You kind of finish a song and then there's like no noise.
It was a nice dynamic, because I felt like I was talking or singing to people that were going through the same thing. Like, we were all in the same situation. That's what made it easier, I guess, during pandemic times. But it was still not the same experience, like being at bars or being at other showcases, have people clap or shout out a song that they want to listen. That's a fun thing to interact with, Yeah,
I mean, it's not the same thing, but it's better than nothing. No. I think that was kind of everybody sort of knew that this was the best that we were going to get in this situation, and it's kind of there was a kind of a reaching out. I think certainly at the start is sort of. March, April, May time, and June, maybe that sort of time, there was a real reaching out of people, and a real need for music, and a need from people. I found that in artists, everybody was going live, and there was lots of audiences, and it was a really kind of exciting time, because it was this new thing that we were all doing, and it sort of seemed to lose momentum. Did you find that as the pandemic went on, and it kind of went on longer than we thought it was, and did you find that it was kind of harder to keep people coming back for the gigs?
Yeah, for sure. I stopped doing it after a while, and I was just, okay, let me just focus on creating the music, or like just getting my stuff together, and just rethink my whole situation. That's one of the few positive things that I can take from the pandemic, is that it was a time for me to analyze what I was going through, and my project, what I was doing right, what I was doing wrong, and have more, how do you say it, introspective time?
Yeah.
Do you say that?
Yeah.
So that's a positive thing that I went through during pandemic, for sure.
Yeah, I think I certainly went through a similar thing, where I was kind of really thinking, is music even relevant right now? Because at one point it really got to a point where there was people dying, and it all seemed so serious, and I really felt like it was the wrong kind of mood to go on and sing and trying to be happy. Then it kind of came back again. It was fine, but there was one part where I was just like, what am I even doing? And what am I doing with my life? And all this sort of these sort of questions. But I think it sort of lent itself to, at that point, for me certainly, creating music more, new music, and what's happening when all this is over. And it was looking
Yeah,
towards when life gets back to normal. I think that's where maybe writing music and releasing music came in more so than music performance. I think that seemed to be a more
yeah.
behind the scenes thing. Did you find that? I mean, that was because I know you
I
released some music. Was that music that you'd written
Yeah.
during lockdown, or was it music you already had?
One of them was a song I already had. Color was born during pandemic, and I was going through something very similar to what you said. I was not in the mood. I was not in the best place mentally
Mm.
during pandemic. That led me not to even write a lot of music. Like I would sit in the piano and listen, we had nothing to do, and I had my keyboard at home, and I had the time of the world to write songs, and I just couldn't do it as I used to. Thank God Color was born there, and it was actually, I felt the same thing as you did. I was going through a phase where I was writing stuff darker. Everything was focused in a more darker mood, but then I was like, I mean, why would I release something like this? Everybody's already going through something tough. Let's lighten up the mood. I want to give color. I want to share something happy. Of course,
Yeah.
we're not going through a happy time, but everything was always bad news. Like literally, it was like COVID and this and that. We were going in Paraguay through very difficult political issues here, and it was like, oh, it's constantly bad news. So I didn't want to uh, be one more to,
Yeah.
like
Well,
I'm thinking in Spanish, but
I,
I I wanted to go against that, and share some light, share some color, share something fun to dance at home. This song was even meant to be released in November last year, and then we decided to postpone it to this year.
yeah, I mean, I think you'd kind of need to write those dark things because that's what you were feeling at the
Yeah,
time. So maybe that was kind of stuff you needed to work through for yourself, and maybe at
yeah.
some point it might be something that you want to put out. But for that, I totally get that sentiment of just wanting to say, do you know what? Let's just do something happy and Color certainly
And
was
lighten
that.
up the mood a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So what's the sort of just thinking about your sort of childhood growing up in Paraguay and music you're listening to, what sort of artists, because we think of like Shakira being a big sort of South American artist, was she an influence on what you were doing? Is there any other artists that kind of broke out of South America that were kind of influences on you growing
I
up?
remember I remember listening to Shakira a lot because it was inevitable in the late 90s,
Yeah,
even early 90s, but uh, everybody was listening to Shakira. Shakira was Shakira at the time, and
yeah,
my mom would play Shakira in the car. My cousins, my older cousins or aunts were playing Shakira. So it definitely is in me when
yeah,
writing, and I love her first material. I don't think she became as big in the international. I mean, in the English speaking world or in the foreign countries
yeah.
that don't speak Spanish in her first album, but her first album is just a jewel. Like that is such good songwriting. She was a genius. I remember that first album was just beautiful. So I definitely would say she influenced me.
And any other sort of South American artists? Because there seemed to. I mean, Shakira certainly was. I mean, we couldn't escape her over here in London, so I don't know what it was
Yeah.
like in South America. But what other artists were you kind of listening to that you kind of cite as influences from South America?
Um, I always loved Alejandro Sanz. He has beautiful songs. I really like it wasn't from my time, but I loved listening to Gloria Estefan.
Yeah,
Then
that's
I
my
also
time now. That's my
yeah,
time.
but I remember
She was
for one of
huge.
my birthdays, my uncle he gave me an MP3 player, and I don't think the iPod was already in, but it was too expensive at that time when it was brand new.
Yeah.
So my uncle, he gave me this great MP3 player with like hundreds and hundreds of songs that he chosen and uploaded it for me. And that's when I discovered more Gloria Estefan songs, and I would like replay her songs forever. So I owe him that.
Yeah, so she was huge when I was growing up.
Yeah.
I'm a bit older than you, I think. So I was just that of that time when she was everywhere. She was huge. And
Yeah. Yeah.
but I saw some of your online covers, and I loved actually X's and O's by LK.
Oh,
It's a
great
fantastic.
song.
I
Yeah.
love that's a really well written song from a songwriter's point of view. It's so
Yeah.
neat and compact, isn't it? Lyrically and everything, that it's just perfect
And
song.
it's very unpredictable, you know,
Yeah,
like the X's and O's. You know, it's just
it's a great
that's a
little
great.
song.
It's a great
Yeah.
idea, you know. Like, yeah,
Well,
that's my time in LA.
oh,
Lived in LA. That's when I did that cover.
oh, okay, yeah, because I've seen you got known for doing a few covers. Got very
Yeah.
good coverage, didn't they? You know, there was it Billie
Yeah.
Jean you
Yeah.
did, and you did
I
what
did
other?
Calvin Harris.
Yes, Calvin Harris. Yeah,
Calvin
I
Harris.
deep as your love, was it that one? So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
what was the reason sort of behind those? Were just songs that you loved doing? Was there a kind of any kind of strategy towards that? Or was it just songs that you loved doing?
At the beginning, I just loved doing them. Then I found out this platform because the only thing I did in LA was a college and music. So I discovered this page that will pay you for your covers. So I
Oh wow.
started doing a bunch of songs and just upload them on this page. And the page would pay all the winners, you know. And at that time, I already had a small following here in Paraguay because I used to work as a model when I was
Yeah,
younger.
I was going to ask
So I
about that.
had a
Yeah.
small following already, and I would have all my followers go and like that video. So I would always win. And so that was awesome. And the prizes were like $1,500. That was, to me, was like, oh my God, that is so much money, you know, like it's just insane. Like, really. So I just kept doing them and competing.
Fantastic. Yeah, I mean, there's some great
I,
great
I
versions
also
of
have a
songs.
big family. So I would have all my family share the videos and like the videos with their friends so I could compete on this like paid page to make covers. That was great.
But so you mentioned working as a model. I mean that
Yeah.
you were I think you were only 14, was it, when you started working as a model?
Yeah.
What was that like, that time of your life? Because obviously, were you sort of musical growing up anyway? What was it like? Kind of, did you have to put music aside to go and do that? Was it busy time doing the modeling, or was it something you could do alongside music?
No, at all. I mean, I think modeling is what led me to do music because I always loved doing music. I always loved singing, but I didn't see it as a younger age as something that I could dedicate my life to and doing it professionally. So I think modeling kind of gave me that platform, you know,
Yeah,
because it exposed me and it kind of, I lost shyness. Shyness, is that how you say it? Like, I
yeah,
became less shy with modeling. So
yeah. It was
it helped it helped in that way. And I stopped. It was fun when I was a teenager, but I didn't want to do modeling for the rest of my life. Nowadays with Instagram, we're all models, you know, like
yeah,
I still do it, but I didn't want to do runway, for example, you know.
yeah.
So
But it's must have given you a certain amount of confidence.
exactly, yeah.
In front of, well, I mean, so yeah, was it just kind of photographic modeling and that kind of thing you were doing? Were doing anything live in front
Yeah.
of audiences? No, you weren't doing anything in front of audiences. So.
I was doing runway as
Oh, you were
well.
doing runway. Sorry, I
Yeah,
misunderstood what you
yeah.
were saying. Sorry. All right.
No,
So
and then I quit doing runway, but I still do like campaigns and ads for as a model.
what was your what sort of when did you first start singing live in venues? Was that when you were in LA? You were doing that, or were you doing
Yeah.
that before? What was that
No,
like? What was that like getting on the stage and singing in front of people for the
I
first
did it
time?
a few times. I did it a few times before I went to LA, but I think uh I actually started performing a bit more in LA, like at cafe shops, bars, and whatnot, you know. It was a lot of fun, you know.
Yeah.
I really liked it.
And so then you hooked up with the producer. Is that the right timeline of things, or um, and when did you first get in the studio and start recording things, and how have you enjoyed that process?
Because of college, I started jumping into the studio very early.
Right. Okay.
So in college, they already give you those experiences early on. And I remember I started working here in Paraguay before I left to LA. I started working here with a producer as well. So that gave me my first experiences at the studio. And actually, it took me a very long time to uh, prefer live performances than studio. I love being at the studio. I love recording in the studio. I just love, creating and editing. And I love to, pop is very perfectionist. So I
Yeah.
love that. I love being able to, yeah, let's change this. No, let's make this better and do all the twitches and pop music. I think that's great. I love the studio for sure.
Yeah. I
And
find
it's more
it's
intimate.
Yeah. I think you've got. I mean, it's different because obviously when you're live, it's like it's there and then one shot deal. Whereas, as you say in the studio, you can kind of tweak
Yeah.
things and change things around, and
Yeah.
it's two completely different things. I mean, I'm doing some songwriting at the moment, and co-writing songwriting sort of with other writers and pop performers, and it's a really amazing thing to sort of they finish a song and it's like, actually this isn't right, change that, change that, change that,
Yeah.
and it's really, I find it really, really like rewarding. So you've been working and you were writing your own stuff then and working with the producers. What
Yeah.
was it like working with them for the first time?
Working with
With who was the guy? Was the producer you're working with?
it's Ti Jack.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean it I lived in LA for 4 years and it took me a very long time to meet Yake.
Yeah.
It took me a very long time and it was so worth it. It was great working with him. He's so creative and he's very fast. He gets an idea, he gets it done. And I love that, you
Yeah.
know? And I loved his bubbly feel about the songs because I was going through the same thing. I wanted to lighten up the mood and I wanted to try something more like more pop in your face, like I was doing something very singer-songwriter style and I wanted something more elaborated.
Yeah.
And I think he definitely has that.
So it's a perfect complement to
Yeah,
what you wanted to do. It's
yeah,
great. It's great
yeah,
when that happens because it's like maybe it's the side that you maybe needed, the extra piece, the last piece of the puzzle that you needed to really
yeah,
fulfill what you
yeah,
wanted to do. It's amazing.
yeah, yeah. And I always had this idea of working with a Swedish producer. I was like, I gotta at some point of my life, I gotta work with a Swedish producer. And I was like, okay, you got it, girl. That was so perfect. I loved it.
And so, what's been the highlight of your career to date? You look back on something that you've done that you're really proud of, or something that really sticks out in your memory.
All my songs. And my first EP was very special to me. It was very, very personal. And it's the very first thing that opened the door to me and gave me so many opportunities. And I introduced myself in a completely different way. And it led me to work on TV. It led me to have the career I have today. I'm just very thankful because if I look back when I was younger and people will tell me, or even I would tell myself that I wouldn't be able to live out of this, and
Yeah.
now I'm so proud of having that being possible.
And it's amazing that knowing that first EP or the first release that goes out, and it's a little piece of you that's out there, and Do you remember hearing yourself on the radio for the first time?
I do remember hearing myself in the radio the first time, and I was
Right.
kind of numb the first time. I didn't really understand what was happening, to be honest with you. And this happens to me very often with a lot of situations. You know, like time will go by and I'm like, oh shit, you know, this, I did this, and you know, like 2 weeks went by already, you know, like, and I remember, like, when I heard myself on the radio, I was like, oh, that's so crazy, you know. But then hearing myself like a month later in the radio, I was like, oh shit, this is just so awesome, you know. It just takes me a while to
Takes a while
process
to sink in.
things. Yeah.
So what's the plan for the rest of the year? What have we got? I mean, obviously we're looking hopefully to be doing some live gigs again at some point. Do you have more singles planned?
Yeah.
What can we look forward to this in 2021?
More music for sure. I already started my live performances, which I'm extremely thankful for. I started doing acoustic sets, and you know, they still don't allow a lot of people, so slowly but safe. Then my first movie, I'm acting in a movie, and I'm doing my debut as an actress this year.
Fantastic. What's that?
Yeah.
That film? What's that film?
It's called, it's Pedro Juan Dos Caballeros. Yeah, it's
Pedro Juan dos Caballeros.
Pedro Juan Dos Caballeros.
Dos Caballeros. I see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Aha.
So that's very exciting to me. I'm very
Absolutely.
excited to see what comes out of that work.
Fantastic. And when's that out?
I have no idea. Like, it's supposed to come out this year. That's all I know.
Is that would that be something that you'd want to pursue, a career in acting?
I mean, yes, but I still have to study a lot, you know. I did a lot of courses during quarantine, a lot of like online courses, but I would love to do like go and take some acting classes more seriously. I would love that.
Fantastic. Then you move to Hollywood, and then you get the big house and the pool, and that's it. Yeah, that's it. That sounds good.
How great would that be?
It's apparently it's that easy. It's very easy.
It's just like that, simple like that.
So simple, so simple. So we've got I always ask a dream gig question. So this is a dream gig. It's a fantasy gig. So you're on first. There's somebody on after you, and there's a headline act. And who are the other two people that you're sharing this gig with? They can be anybody from history. You can choose anybody. It's completely your choice. You have complete freedom, and you also choose the venue. And wherever the venue is, it's packed full of people. So you haven't got to worry about selling tickets.
I would love to have like an intimate, beautiful performance here at my hometown, with Paraguayan artists, and just share with them here. And I mean, if I'm dreaming big and we can bring Michael Jackson back to life, that would be awesome, you know. Performing live with Michael Jackson, that's a fantasy. But if I think of it, like I would love to have something, you know, just broken down. I'm a very kind of simple girl. I would love something stripped down and unplugged here at my hometown.
Beautiful. That sounds good. Let me know what it is and I'll come over. I don't want to miss that.
Oh, and that'd be great. Like if I could just like give away plane tickets and bring everybody here. That'd be great.
Well, when you're living in Hollywood, you can do this. It'd be fine. You can just pay for it to fly over.
I'll have my plane. I'll have my own plane. So
who
cares?
Perfect.
I'll have you pick you up.
Lovely. I'll be ready. Let me know. And we always ask for recommendation on the show as well. So this can be anybody. It can be someone that that people might not have heard of. It can be somebody that has influenced you. But it's generally just who is the artist that people need to know.
My favorite song of all time is called Boa Sorte by Vanessa da Mata. It's just a song that brings peace. It's a beautiful song. She also has a version with Ben Harper, so it's a very beautiful song. And then for some reason, I'm just obsessed with Sarah Larson right now. You know, if you're going complete opposites, I'm obsessed with her right now.
Excellent.
She's everything girl power that I love.
Excellent. Well, we'll put links to so people can go and check this stuff out, and also to check your stuff out. I was going to ask where's the best place for people to keep in touch with what you're doing, but it sounds like Instagram is the place to be.
Instagram at Anita Chase, Anita with double N.
Anita, little Anna, Anita.
Exactly.
Fantastic. So yeah, so we'll put a link to your Instagram too. And are you on other socials as well? Are you on Twitter and that kind of thing?
I'm on Twitter. I'm everywhere.